Welcome to a tutorial that will indicate or will show you how to build a Gantt chart from a dependency table. Now, the dependency table refers to the one in the presentation on project management and explains how the dependency table is put together. Effectively, it is a list of tasks. Each task rather has a separate number. There is also a duration for each task. And finally, the predecessor means the task that needs to be complete before a current task can go ahead. For instance, if you have a look at task 1, excavation, doesn't have any predecessors. Task 2, concrete slab. It has to be poured, but it can only be poured once the excavation has been done. And milestones, as we described, are major or significant events, or rather significant parts of the project that are completed. And the milestone is an event where a project manager can evaluate the progress of a project. So what we're going to do in this video is to take the information from the dependency table. If you don't know how to do the dependency table, then have a look at my presentation on the introduction to project management for VCE Applied Computing Unit 1. So we'll make a start. Now, obviously, just before I go ahead, I'm using GanttProject. Now, this is a free software from the internet. You can download it from the internet. For students at the college where I teach, I have placed a link to where you can download this software. If you're not, if I'm not one of my students, find GanttProject on the internet and you can download it. I think it's a very good program, and it mirrors programs like Microsoft Project, which is one of the standards that are used in industry. So we need to add a new task, and we're going to be putting all our tasks down here one by one in order. Just right click in this and type in new task. And then it's just a simple matter of typing the task name. We won't worry about the end date, a begin date and end date, which relates to the duration yet. We'll sort that out later. We're just putting in names at the moment. Okay, task 2, concrete slab. Oops. Task 3 is foundation milestone. Right, now we have all the tasks now loaded into the Gantt chart, and all I have done at the moment is put their names in. I have not put their duration, and you can see that they all start and end on the same day, which is ridiculous, and we'll explain how that works in a minute. I'll just shift this up a little bit to make it easy to see. Right, the next thing we need to do is put in properties for each task, and that's going to include setting the time it takes and also what tasks need to be completed before the current task that we're looking at can go ahead. So we right click on the task and go to task properties. The first thing we do is duration. Now we can see that duration there is 7 days, so we just replace that with 7. Look at predecessors. Well, it doesn't have any because it's the first thing of the lot. So we don't need to worry about that. So just OK. Now you can see that the blue bar here, excuse me, represents the length of the task. And we can see it's a 7-day task. You probably see it's more like 10 days. And you've got to also realize that this is taking out weekends. So the dates will be 7 working days, not 7 days straight. Concrete slab, task properties, it's going to take 14 days. And the predecessor is Now we need to add one in, and it's going to be excavation, isn't it? So we go excavation, okay. Now immediately you can see there's almost a cascade of tasks here where one task finishes and there's a little arrow there saying this leads on to the next task. So let's go through and complete all our properties. So foundation milestone, it's going to take 0. Now this software has a little tick box here. It asks if it's a milestone, and we say yes it is. And what is the predecessor? Well, it's got to have the um, concrete slab poured. Okay. Now you won't be able to see it yet, but at the end of this second bar on the next line is a little diamond with a little cascading arrow going across. Now I'll put these through now, and then we can have a look at a couple of different things along the way. I've just stopped at this point of the Gantt chart, making up the Gantt chart. Just wanted to show you how this cascade of tasks works. In particular, I wanted to talk about this bunch of tasks in the middle here. From the um, dependency table, you'll see that these tasks all have the same predecessor. That's the roofing iron, brickwork cladding, electrical work, plumbing work. What it means is basically that these can begin and start and carry on together. Um, why would you do that? Well, in fact, it makes a project more efficient if you can have a few jobs going on at one time rather than have them sequential, one after the other. You could see if you put these as a normal cascade as we have here, this would take a heck of a lot more time because each one would be done in sequence. But if you can done in what's called parallel or concurrently, it means it saves time on the project. And also, if any of these tasks have a bit of a problem, particularly this one, the roofing iron, it has a little bit more what's called slack time to catch up and still not affect the rest of the project. So we're up to plastering now. Plastering relies on all of these to be complete before it can begin. Right, we're at the final one now. So handover. So handover, task properties, handover is 7 days. And the predecessor, when we add them, look at the list. It's actually not on the list, but you need to just click down on this slider bar till you find the finishing milestone, which is the predecessor, and OK. All right, now we're going to have a look at the Gantt chart in total now. Obviously, it's impossible to see the whole one, so we can zoom out and just drag along a bit. You might need to do that a couple of times until you can see the whole Gantt chart. I wonder whether we can still fit it. Let's have a look. Not quite. No, we'll do it this way. All right, so there's our Gantt chart. It's complete now. And each of these tasks are now represented by a bar on this line. You can see the milestones in the little diamonds or little diamonds that are there. And remember, they're our checkpoints on how our project is going. Here are concurrent tasks. So these are tasks that are able to carry out at the same time. All the rest are sequential. One follows the other, which follows the other, and so on. So this is a Gantt chart. This is how to represent a predecessor table and a project tasks in a graphical way. Now, this is the sort of thing that you'll need to do for both outcome 2, in Unit 1 Applied Computing. You will need to demonstrate how you're going to finish your programming folio with a Gantt chart. You'll need to break that up into tasks. You'll also need to do it for the collaborative project which is a part of Unit 2, Outcome 1, where we will be using the programming language, and we're looking at the microbit as well, and how that can be used to solve a real-life problem. This is how to use GanttProject. I hope that's helped, and I will put this up on YouTube and link it to Simon for your perusal and your support. Thank you.